feeling we could first begin by singing Jai Radha Madhava to invoke auspiciousness in the atmosphere. I hope you all are having a wonderful Sunday so far and have had a good week. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavatir Naishtiki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all for being here and for giving me an opportunity to say something on Srimad Bhagavatam on this auspicious day. Thank you, Jai Sachinandan Prabhu, for giving me the opportunity to be part of the Srimad Bhagavatam reading circle, and Narottam Vilas Prabhu for making the technology city possible to access for me. So today we're reading from the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the 9th chapter, and we're going to read verses 2 and 3 because verse 2 doesn't have a purport by Srila Prabhupada. So as normal, I'll read 3 times the verses for verse 2, and then we'll have a chance to read together. And then I'll just go through on my own and read for you all text 3, if that's okay. It's a very special chapter, the passing away of Bhishmadev. And so here we go. Now, Tambilas Prabhuji, would you like me to pull it up online?
Sure, Prabhu, we can please share his screen, Prabhuji.
Okay, I will do. Let's see, online database. All glories to the devotees who have made Vedabase possible. It's quite an amazing feature to be able to access it anywhere. Okay, I will share screen now. All right. Here we are. Is that coming through clearly?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, Jai. Tadate bharatara sarve sadashvai shvarna bhushitai anvagachan ratair vipra vyasa dhaumya dayastata Tadate bharatara sarve sadashvai shvarna bhushitai anvagachan ratair vipra vyasa dhaumya dayastata Tadate bratara sarve sadashvai shvarna bhushitai anvagachan ratair vipra vyasa dhaumya dayastata.
यदा ते भ्रातरा सर्वे तदा स्वे स्वर्णभूषितै अन्वगच्छन् रथैर्विप्रा व्यासदौम्यादयस्तथा.
Thank you, Mataji.
तदा ते भ्रातरः सर्वे सदाश्वैः भूषितैः अन्वगच्छन् रथैर्विप्रा व्यासाधौप्यादयस्तथा.
Thank you, Prabhu.
तदा ते भ्रातर सर्वे सदाश्वास्वर्णभूषिताः अनवगच्छां रथैर्विप्रा व्यासधाम्यदयस्तथा.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
तदा ते भारत सर्वे सदा वै सर्वभूषितै अन्वगच्छन् रथैर्विप्रा व्यासाधौम्योदयास्तथा.
Thank you, Mataji. Premarupa Madhavi and Narottam Vilas Prabhu, any one of these days we can expect another recitation from a new congregation member, right?
Hopefully, Prabhuji.
Joy by all your blessings.
Yeah, that'll be very nice. Okay, so we'll take it through the word for word now. And this is interesting because in English we also have, sometimes when magicians reveal something, ta-da, at that time, like right now in this moment. So, ta-da, at that time, de, all of them. Bratara, this is also a cognate, the brothers, bratara, the brothers. Sarve, all together. Sat ashvai, drawn by first-class horses. Swarna, gold. Bhushitaihi, being decorated with, Anvagachan followed one after the other. Ratai on the chariots. Vipraha, O Brahmanas. Vyasa, the sage Vyasa. Dhaumya, Dhaumya. Adayaha, and others. Tataha, also. The translation is given by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. At that time, all his brothers followed him on beautiful chariots drawn by first-class horses decorated with gold ornaments. With them were Vyasa and rishis like Dhaumya, the learned priest of the Pandavas, and others. Text 3. Bhagavan api viprarshe ratena sadhananjaya
Prabhu,
tatairya.
if we can move to the next
Oh,
verse, Prabhu.
yes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Mhm. It's easier for me to read from paper, so sorry. But yes. Bhagavan api viprarshe ratena sadhananjaya satairya rochata nripa kuveraiva guyakai. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Api, also. Vipra Rishe, O sage among the Brahmanas. Ratina, on the chariot. Sa Dhananjayaha, with Dhananjaya, O Arjuna. Saha, he. Taihi, by them. Vyarochata, appeared to be highly aristocratic. Nripaha, the king, Yudhishthira. Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods. Iwa, as. Guhyakai, companions known as Guhyakas. Translation and purport given by Srila Prabhupada. O sage amongst the Brahmanas, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, also followed, seated on a chariot with Arjuna. Thus, King Yudhishthir appeared very aristocratic, like Kuvera, surrounded by his companions, the Guhyakas. Let's see. Okay. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna wanted the Pandavas to be present before Bhishmadeva in the most aristocratic order so that he might be pleased to see them happy at the time of his death. Kuvera is the richest of all the demigods, and herein King Yudhishthira appeared like him, Kuvera. For the procession along with Sri Krishna was quite appropriate to the royalty of King Yudhishthira. Bhagavan api viprarshe ratena sadhananjaya satairvya rochata nripa kuveraiva guhyakai. O sage amongst the Brahmanas, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, also followed, seated on a chariot with Arjuna. Thus King Yudhishthira appeared very aristocratic, like Kuvera, surrounded by his companions, the Guhyakas. Special point to whomsoever knows why Dhananjaya is a name for Arjuna. Feel free to unmute yourselves if you can.
He went in all directions to collect wealth for Yudhishthira Maharaj for the Rajasuya sacrifice.
Jai. 10 points for Gryffindor.
Jai.
Thank you, Mataji. So it's very fitting that in Srimad Bhagavatam they use this name of Arjuna to compare Yudhishthira Maharaj with Kuvera, which is an interesting poetic consideration of the grand genius of Vyasadeva, because he didn't choose the name, he didn't use any other names of Arjuna. Krishna Sakha, Achyuta Priya, but he chose specifically the name Dhananjaya. because the comparison is going to be made with Kubera, and so it heightens the comparison, and the name Dhananjaya specifically refers also to how Arjuna conquered wealth for Yudhishthira. Dhana means wealth, and Jaya is victory, or he who is victorious over wealth. Something the first line of the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that Lord Sri Krishna wanted the Pandavas to be present before Bhishma Deva. The nicest verses in Srimad Bhagavatam, in my humble opinion, are the ones that reference Krishna directly. Because after all, the Srimad Bhagavatam is about Krishna, specifically about Krishna and his devotees, but it's always nice to see how Krishna appears in the lives of his devotees. And here Srila Prabhupada is revealing the mind of Krishna, or revealing Krishna's intentions. Lord Krishna wanted the Pandavas to be present before Bhishma Deva. Right? And so in the Bhagavad Gita, we hear that Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janaha paryupasate tesham nitya bhiyuktanam yogakshema vahamyaham. That for those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So this is a beautiful verse where Krishna is revealing how he takes care of his devotee. Krishna says, aham, I, vahamyaham, carry I carry. So he's not saying, I facilitate the modes of material nature to give him a smooth route, right? It's not that what is preserved or what is brought, a person can say, oh, the universe is taking care of me, because Krishna is saying, vahamyaham, I personally will do this. And there are many instances in which Krishna is personally taking care. When he asked his guru, when he was leaving the Gurukula, and he asked his guru for some kind of dakshin, the guru, being a very liberal and self-realized soul, didn't ask anything for himself in particular, but his wife had been lamenting that her sons had been taken away. And so Krishna and Balaram personally went to the court of Yamaraj to bring his children back. Vahamyaham. He personally brought back. He didn't depute, any of his inconceivable potencies or any of his unlimited servants to do the task, but he personally went. Because Krishna is Satya Sankalpa. So whatever he desires, through a natural course of the development of the progress of his energies, automatically comes to pass. For example, Krishna desires, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to give the highest benediction to all living entities. He wants them not only to realize that they have a relationship with him, but to realize on the highest platform their relationship with him through the congregational chanting of the holy names. But this is manifested also through Advaita Acharya's desire to have Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya appear on earth. And it's said that when Advaita Acharya adored Krishna with Ganga water and Tulsi leaves, the screaming of his chanting, or his very loud chanting, the loud chanting of Advaita Acharya pierced all of the layers of the material existence and penetrated into Vaikuntha, where Krishna personally heard him. So Krishna desires this also personally, but as a matter of natural course, because all of his devotees are linked harmoniously in yoga and bhakti yoga with Krishna, they desire the similar thing. It's Prabhupada explained that our individuality is not effaced in the process of bhakti yoga. It's not that desiring what Krishna desires means to efface our own desires. In fact, to desire what Krishna desires means to begin desiring finally for the first time our truest and deepest desires. And so Advaita Acharya is non-different from Lord Sri Krishna, desires the exact same thing, but that desire manifested in a different order and sequence to the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But still, hear Krishna saying, Vahamyaham, I personally do this. And so today we're reading about a Mahajan, one of the 12 great personalities that are recommended to, whose behavior is recommended to be followed by all aspiring transcendentalists and Krishna bhaktas. Mahajana Sagataha. That we should follow the path laid down by these 12 personalities. And Sri Bhishmadeva is one of them. His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami once said that the purpose of life is to learn how to leave their body like Bhishmadeva. So we should study this. This chapter is very important. Later, it will be described in one of the greatest purports ever written by Srila Prabhupada that Sri Bhishmadeva had resolved within himself to make Krishna break his vow to not fight on the battlefield. And he had these special weapons made, and Krishna showed up in the tent at night because there was always diplomatic relationships between rival parties. And by some arrangement, Krishna had taken the weapons that Duryodhana had put together and for that particular purpose of killing the Pandavas. And when Bhishma found out, he knew that this is Krishna's arrangement. We're not going to be able to trick him, of gambles, I am the cheat. You can't out cheat Krishna. And Bhishma Dev realized this. He said, we can't play this beating around the bush game with Krishna. You have to go directly to Krishna. You're not going to be able to, you're not going to outmaneuver him. You have to just confront him directly. Which is also an interesting, it's an interesting perspective, because we also know that we're not going to approach Krishna by karma or jnana. We can acquire knowledge. We should remember verses in Shastra, and we should read. There's Siddhant Prabhu has given a very nice presentation on various platforms on YouTube that show the astrological accuracy of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I think in a commentary from Sridhar Swami, he found that if he multiplies the numbers given by an order of 2, then the scales that are given in the Bhagavatam between the planetary distances are off by like 3,000, 5,000, even 10,000 miles, which for astronomical units is less than 0.1%. So we can try to convince, other people of the scientific merit or what Krishna is saying in the Srimad Bhagavatam, what Vyasadeva is saying in the Bhagavatam, and how the modes of nature are actually working, and you can perceive it in the world, that the greatest social change doesn't come out of bloodshed, but it comes out of peace. And you can correlate peace to the mode of goodness and bloodshed to both ignorance and passion. You can show by various scientific means and by philosophical research or philosophical conversation that what Krishna is saying is logically sound, and we should. For people that have that disposition, that have a philosophical, cavern in their heart, it will be filled. It will be filled by Jiva Goswami. It will be filled by Srila Prabhupada. And for those who have a scientific disposition, their queries will be satisfied by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, by Siddhant Prabhu, by the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And there's so many good karmas that you can do. There's so many, activities that lead to piety that ultimately makes it easier for you to understand what devotees are doing when they distribute prasad, or when they simply go sing out in the street, right? So if you have no understanding for what piety is, how will you understand that devotees sitting in a circle chanting Hare Krishna or just giving food for free is the highest welfare activity for all of humanity? You'll have no idea, because the purpose of life for you could be like, well, the best television show to be watched, binging the best TV show, that's actually the purpose of life. So somebody's giving out food for free and you're like, that has nothing to do with my eyes, hence it's unimportant. But still, jnana karma dhyanavritam, it pure devotional service will be devoid of an impetus to just be getting more knowledge or just be getting more karma. Shilanam, it has to be perfect devotional service and undeviated. So Bhishma also is like, I'm not going to resort to these other weapons or to these other little tricks that we can do. You have to go to Krishna directly. So in this great purport, Srila Prabhupada says that Bhishma Deva was attacking Krishna ferociously with arrows and piercing the skin on the body of the Lord, but Krishna was feeling those arrows to be like roses or like flowers thrown by a lover to another. Wow. And we can read that, and we're taught in devotional service that Krishna accepts the intention. 2 times he says in the verse, Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati bhaktyaham. Krishna says twice. I think it's 922 or 924. Give me a second. I don't want to misquote it. Sorry. Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti upahritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. Text 26. Srila Prabhupada only translates love once, but when you look at the actual purport, he says yome bhaktya prayachati, which means unto me with devotion if one offers, aham bhakti upahritam, offered in devotion again. Upa means close, like upadeshamrita means like close, or Upanishads means that knowledge that is close in proximity, and hrita means heart. So bhakti upahritam, that love that is very close to the heart, that very dear. 2 times he says, then he will accept patram pushpam palam toyam. So 2 times. So it's not like he's saying if one gives me, like a very nice flower or very cool water or very scented water, he's saying whatever the water, whatever the fruit. Prabhupada says that the leaf is specifically referring to tulsi, but just tulsi, it's not like a rare leaf that only grows in one place of the world. Tulsi can grow anywhere that there's love. And so Bhishma Deva is approaching Krishna with love. Though he's throwing arrows, but he's approaching with so much love that he wants to see Krishna. Bhishma Deva is a warrior and one of the greatest warriors that existed on earth. It's only because of Krishna's presence that Arjuna and the Pandavas could out battle these great warriors. They were on earth unchallenged. And so Bhishma has been practicing his whole life to be a warrior, right? And though he knows the principles of deity worship, he is a Kshatriya. The constitution of his body is to have courage. The constitution of his body is to be brave. His mind is directed towards serving Krishna in Varnashram Dharma as a protector, Kshatriya. Prabhupada says that Triya means to protect, and Shat means from fear or from danger, from anxiety. So Bhishma Deva's service to Krishna on earth is as a Kshatriya, to protect people from danger. And so you see pictures of Bhishma Deva, he's huge. And in that famous picture, in that famous painting where Krishna's running at him with a wheel, he's just so bravely looking at him and courageously, just wanting Krishna, his best friend and lover, to be brought to him. And so, in the same way that a person with Brahminical tendencies is studying the Vedas and in the mode of goodness, offering the articles of Archana to the deity and meditating on mantra, they're expecting to see Krishna in their deity. Srila Prabhupada said once, a person that adores the deity perfectly according to the rules and regulations will have their deity, should one day expect to have their deity speak back to them. So we wait for that day. And so the Brahmana, or the person with a Brahminical quality, is waiting to have Krishna reciprocate with them on the platform that they're meeting Krishna. I mean, japa, Krishna says, aham japa yagyosmin. Of all sacrifices, I am the chanting of japa. And so when we chant Hare Krishna, we want Krishna, that this is the platform that we're expecting Krishna to reciprocate on us, right? I'll say something about this. Actually, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Brahmanas that were practicing sacrifices, they were also waiting for Krishna to appear on that, but Krishna surprised them. He appeared in person. Maybe they were expecting Krishna to appear in some form through Jnana Shakti, to have more knowledge of how to perform sacrifices better. But Krishna and Balaram appeared hungry to them. So sometimes we're surprised when Krishna actually does, because I'm expecting to hear Krishna when I say Krishna. I'm expecting to hear and to really be with Ram when I say Ram. And I'm begging Hare to hear me when I say Hare. But so many times with Krishna appears in person and sometimes surprises his devotee. And we hear when he appears to Sanatana Goswami, when he appears to Madhura Puri, he sometimes they don't recognize him. And so we're always expecting Krishna to meet us on the level that we're priming our eyes, right? The Vaishya will expect to see Krishna as a cowherd boy because he's taking care of cows and taking care of land. And the Shudra, is expecting to see Krishna everywhere in the person of everyone that they're serving to help. So Bhishma Deva is expecting to see Krishna as a warrior because he's a warrior. But Krishna has vowed not. And this is the greatest battle of all time. And Bhishma Deva is determined, one-pointedly determined to have Krishna break his vow. And so we can think, well, but he's shooting Krishna with arrows. Why is it that Krishna is feeling that like flowers? And it's because of bhakti. Because Bhishma Deva loves Krishna so much. Externally, it looks like he's shooting arrows like an enemy would shoot arrows, but the content of his heart is such that he's trying to communicate with Krishna somehow, and all he has are arrows. And Krishna's running away on the battlefield, or trying to protect Arjuna everywhere. He's trying to get his attention, and all he has are arrows and the best skill in the world, right? So this isn't the time to just sit quietly and offer, you say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya in the middle of the battlefield of Kurukshetra. All he has are 18 days and these arrows. And so he's shooting them, but there's so much love and devotion that Krishna is feeling them like flowers. And so to that person, Krishna says, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam, having no other object, Ananyas, Chintayanto Mam, who's concentrating on me, to that person I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. And that is what I was thinking of with the first sentence, that Sri Krishna now, this great soldier, this great soul, Mahajana, this great personality, is now decided to leave their body because all of their desires have come true. They've seen the Pandavas grow up well, and they've seen them conquer the world, and they've seen their no other object, Ananyas. They've seen Krishna, the only object of Bhishmadev's affection, receive his worship of arrows and try to reciprocate him with the wheel, had it not been for Arjuna. And now he says, this is the moment. This is the best moment to leave. This is the culmination of all my service has now come true. And there's no better moment than in the presence of my worshipful Lord. And Krishna is reciprocating and saying, he's bringing the Pandavas, who Bhishmadeva helped raise, who have now become great warriors in their own right, and who are now going to take care of the entire world. Emperor Yudhishthir Maharaj. Sometimes when we leave our bodies, it's natural, because I don't remember, but it's natural that we worry about our dependents. Even when my wife goes to work and I'm chanting japa in the morning and she's taking the max, I'm thinking, should I check my phone to see if she's okay? She's been okay for 100 days out of 100. But, today I'm still thinking, should I check my phone? And it's like a test, I think sometimes, like, this is what death is going to be like. It's going to be 4:00 in the morning. It's going to be totally quiet in the house. I'm going to be chanting and a thought is going to come in. Yeah, but are they okay? And so sometimes I check, but sometimes I don't. And I think that on the times that I don't, I think, well, I'm doing good for my spiritual life now, because I only want to hear the Maha Mantra. But then I'm thinking, but what if she really does, need me? But that's like a litmus test in a way. And I know that might be a hard thing to hear, like, oh, you're not going to check on your loved ones. And I think that we should test ourselves to the degree that we wish that this isn't to make a prescription to anyone. But we should know that, yeah, Krishna says, yam yam smaram bhavam. Whatever we're thinking of at the moment of our death, that's what we'll attract. That's what Krishna will reciprocate with us. He's like, that's what you're thinking of, I will give it to you. Because he's satisfying the desires of living entities from time immemorial. And this is no exception. Lord Sri Krishna wanted the Pandavas to be present before Bhishmadev. Prabhupada is not saying Bhishmadev wanted the Pandavas to be present, and so Krishna arranged. Krishna, in the same way that Bhishmadev is Suhrit and knows the heart of Krishna, Krishna knows the heart of his devotee. He says Krishna wanted. Krishna wants something also. He wants something for his devotee. So he wanted the Pandavas to be present in the most aristocratic order, right? So that he might be pleased to see them happy at the time of his death. Krishna is saying, I don't want to give you any reasons to not think about anything else. Even though Bhishmadev, there's no chance. Ananyas chintayantomam. Bhishmadev, there's no chance that he would think of anything anyway. But Krishna, just to show how much he does for his devotee, just in case. I mean, you think about when Srila Prabhupada left his body in Vrindavan and what Krishna did for him. How many disciples and well-wishers Krishna brought to Srila Prabhupada, and you see those videos where Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Jayadvaita Swami are there, and devotees are massaging Srila Prabhupada's feet, and the devotees are singing non-stop kirtan, and just like so happy, so grateful for Srila Prabhupada. And in Vrindavan Dham, next to Krishna Balaram Mandir, just next to Radha Shyamasundar and Nitai Gaura. What did Krishna do to bring a devotee there? It's very rare to end up in Vrindavan. But for his pure devotee, Krishna lifts all the stops. Kuvera is the richest of all the demigods, and herein King Yudhishthira appeared like him, for the procession along with Sri Krishna was quite appropriate to the royalty of King Yudhishthira. So in front of him, just mentioned, we have Daumya, the head priest. Vyasadeva also. We didn't mention Vyasadeva. The learned priests, Daumya, Arjuna, Krishna, and Yudhishthira. Like, what is the entourage that Krishna is bringing? How is Krishna lifting all the stops for his devotee? Um, so we should take faith from this. We should take faith from this that Krishna will keep whatever faith we have in him now. He will preserve that. Kshemam, protection. And that's I was thinking today about how difficult it is to chant Hare Krishna. I was chanting in the morning, and for a second I thought I was remembering back to when I had just started chanting, and I chanted maybe one round or two. And then I remember that there was a time in my life that I stopped chanting, and I shuddered because of how easy it was back then. It was so easy to stop chanting. And sometimes it feels so easy to keep on chanting, but it's easy because of Mahamaya and it's easy because of Yoga Maya. So it's always easy because of Krishna, which is to say it's easy because of your desire. If you desire not to chant, Krishna will show you how easy it is to just forget him and to do everything else. His illusory energy is quite attractive if you haven't noticed. We've been here for quite some time, and so it's extremely easy to forget him. But we have this desire to be here at Bhagavatam class, for me to gratefully be able to read to you, for you all to gratefully, be able to listen to Srila Prabhupada's legacy, which is his purports and his transliterations and this beautiful culture of Krishna Bhakti. And that desire is so important for us. Bhakti Lata, that desire, our Guru Maharaj and the Vaishnavas have given to us, and that is the treasure of our life. Because if we can water that, like Srila Prabhupada says, if we water that Bhakti Lata with the Maha Mantra every day, Krishna will preserve it. And it's so rare. There are, at the Bhakti Center, some new devotees are coming, and they're having a very sincere desire to advance. One devotee said, "My only desire is to surrender and to learn how to do it." And it can bring tears to your eyes to hear it, because it's right now we're kind of comfortable with our desire to love Krishna. And so it's not often that we say sentences like that. But because so many other things adorn our Bhakti Lata. Not only do we have a Bhakti Lata, but we have a spiritual master, or we're aspiring to a spiritual master. We have the company of devotees. Maybe we have some shlokas memorized. We know who Nitai Sachinandana are. We know what the address of the temple is. We know how to make prasadam and the prayers to offer. So our Bhakti Lata is actually sprouting already, and we don't see the seed because thankfully a bush is there and maybe some flowers. But a devotee that has only been given the Bhakti Lata, that Bhakti Lata looks like the tip of a mountain in a quagmire of just a miserable material world. And when they say a sentence like that, I just want to surrender and know how to do it. It seems like such a powerful thing because the Bhakti Lata is so beautiful. It's Chintamani. It's a touchstone in this world. Just by having that seed, everything else has happened. All of these books have manifested from a desire for me just to know, what more does Prabhupada have to say? And chanting 16 rounds is a desire of how much more can I chant from just saying Hare Krishna once, and taking initiation and associating with devotees and desiring the unwanted things to leave from our heart. All of that just came from a seed. And look at what Bhishma Deva has done with that seed. Look at what Srila Prabhupada has done with his seed. And this is the seed that they're giving us. They're giving us that. And so if we can just maintain that desire to cultivate that seed, Krishna will do everything else. What can we do? We can only think, feel, and will. And then Krishna manifests the spiritual master in front of us. He manifests externally as the spiritual master and gives us instructions. And then all we have to do, like Narottam Das Thakur says, is, I only desire for my consciousness to be purified by the words emanating from your lotus mouth. So all we do is desire. The spiritual master is speaking because they're absorbed in ecstasy. So all we can desire is to be underneath them like a bowl, to hold some of that nectar from their lotus mouth and to wash ourselves with it. but all we do is desire. And then we can think about it again. After we've desired it, then we think and we meditate and smarnam, and we're thinking about, how can I serve my spiritual master? How can I do something good for the devotees? And will. That may be the hardest thing also, because when the alarm sounds at 4 o'clock in the morning, I will get up today. The other day, Premarupa Madhavi, Her Grace Premarupa Madhavi, was saying that Srinitai is so merciful. One should simply ask Srinitai for some things, and he will very freely give. And so I know I had heard that, but because it came from the mouth of a pure devotee, I accepted it and I said, okay, now I have faith in this. Because you read it in a book and sometimes you don't have faith, but a devotee tells you something like that, and then you believe. And so I asked Srinitai, please just help me wake up early. Just that, nothing else. I mean, I'll ask you for other things. I mean, in my heart, I'm thinking I'll ask him for other things later, but I just want to be able to chant calmly in the morning. And I think that if I can just chant calmly in the morning, everything else in my life will be resolved, because I will have already done my duty to Guru and Gauranga, to chant. And then everything else, then the principles will follow. Then maybe they'll manifest in me the ability to be kind to other people. But first I need to do my duty. And Srinitai has been helping. He's been helping me wake up earlier, which is like the hardest thing in the world for me to do. But for Nitai, it's easy. Anything is easy, including picking up japa and chanting 16 rounds. All of that is easy because of Srinitai. So that's what I have to say. I think, given that I was in your presence, I hope I was inspired to say something. As Hari Parashad Prabhu likes to say, and which is very good to say, is that I am a human and naturally I am imperfect. If there were any flaws, you are all learned devotees, so please correct me. I beg you. And if there was anything nice at all, then you should know that came from my spiritual masters and from all of you. So Hare Krishna. With that, I will end for today. If no one has any questions, then I hope you or comments. I hope you all have a very wonderful Ekadasi.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for a great class.
William Prabhu, thank you. It's good to hear from you. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very, very beautiful lecture.
Hare Krishna Mataji.